Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cosmic Metamorphosis. My name is Kat. I just finished my last video, so I had my little rant. I'm sorry. I ran across something today, though, I thought I would do a video on because it's very cool. If you like my Space Force t-shirt, I love it. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about inner Earth, and I'm going to be reading some entries out of Admiral Bryd's diary. So let's share screen. If I can get in here. Not what I wanted. We'll go out here. Okay, so here we go. The Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd. A secret expedition and journey to a paradise inside the earth. I think that's why, you know what? Okay, let me hypothesize something. So with the flat earth people, they always say, oh, we're flat because the planes can only fly east to west. You can never go north to south. Well, my question to them is, for one, we do have holes. There's holes. There's holes in the North Pole and there's a hole in the South Pole, okay? So we were forbidden to fly north to south. That's why we can't fly that way. It's not because we're flat. We might live under a dome. I'm not sure about that yet. But I know there's much more Earth than we've been told. Okay. Also, I kind of wanted to do a thing on flat Earth, but my question for them would be, okay, but you guys are taking all the science that has been taught to us in our schools to say, you know, talk about gravity and this and that. This is why we have a flat Earth. It's impossible. Okay, but you're taking the science that we were taught in school, and now we're finding out that everything they taught us about science in school is completely wrong and not true. So that would be my question too. So anyway, enough ranting today. So the Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd. So there's some pictures in here too, which is really cool. The Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd. So, and it gives like the address, I guess, of when this was copyrighted, published in 1990, and then again in 2013. Here's a picture. So this down here is the outside of the Earth, where we see South America, south, and then the above picture is basically the inside of the Earth. So like here's some ships. This is the crust, and here's the hole where you go inside. To me, it kind of reminds me of a womb, like Mother Gaia womb. So let's go down, and I'll put the link to this too in my video. Can it be possible that down in the middle of the Earth there is another Earth, that a few hundred miles or so away, separated from us by ground and rock and vapor and such things, there is a great country inhabited by a great race? So, excuse me. The Society also wishes to announce that they are organizing a reenactment of Admiral Bryd's historical flight leaving from Reykjavik, Iceland, The flight will be filled with mystery and the potential of discovery. It will follow precisely the route taken by Admiral and his crew. Each landmark will be pointed out, indicating the stress, excitement, and frustration that the Admiral was experiencing in the diary's log. So they must have had some kind of special flight. That would have been fun. So here's the exploration flight over the North Pole. So here's a picture of Byrd in some furs. So it starts, I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. It concerns my Arctic flight in the 19th day of February in the year of 1947. There's a drawn picture. The Earth as it would appear if viewed from space, showing the North Polar opening to the planet's interior, which is hollow and contains a central sun instead of an ocean of liquid lava. There comes a time when the rationality of men must fade into insignificance, and one must accept the inevitability of the truth. And here are the few other people. I am not at liberty to disclose the following documentation at this writing. Perhaps it shall never see the light of public scrutiny, but I must do my duty and record here for all to read one day. I'm sorry if you hear background noise. My neighbors across the street are building a shop, so it's very noisy. In a world of greed and exploitation of certain, mankind can no longer suppress that which is truth. Another picture of him and his dog. Flight log, Base Camp Arctic, February 19th, 1947. 0600 hours. All preparations are complete for our flight northward, and we are airborne with fuel tanks at 0610 hours. So here he is in his plane. 0620 hours, fuel mixture on starboard engine seems too rich. Adjustment made and Pratt Whitneys are running smoothly. Another picture. 0730 hours, radio check with base camp. All is well and radio reception is normal. Here's a artist's drawing of him and his dog. 0740 hours, note, slight oil leak in starboard engine. Oil pressure indicator seems normal, however. 0800 hours, slight turbulence noted from easterly direction at altitude of 2321 feet, correction to 1700 feet. No further turbulence, but tailwind increases. Slight adjustment in throttle controls. Aircraft performing very well now. I don't know if that's a poster or a book. Must be a film poster. Actually filmed in the vast unknown of the Antarctic by Paramount Pictures. 0815 hours, radio check with base camp, situation normal. 0830 hours, turbulence encountered again, increased altitude to 2,900 feet, smooth flight conditions again. Here's another picture of the Earth. 0910 hours, vast ice and snow below. Note, coloration of yellowish nature and dispersed in a linear pattern. Altering course for a better examination of this color pattern below. Note reddish or purple color also. Circle this area 2 full turns and return to assigned compass heading. Position check excuse me, position check made again to base camp and relay information concerning colorations in the ice and snow below. Here's him when he is older. 0, 9, 10 hours, both magnetic and gyro compasses beginning to gyrate and wobble. We are unable to hold our heading by instrumentation. Take bearing with sun compass, yet all seems well. The controls are seemingly slow to respond and have sluggish quality, but there is no indication of icing. 0, 9, 15 hours. In the distance is what appears to be mountains. 0, 9, 49 hours, or basically at 9:49 in the morning. 29 minutes elapsed flight time from the first sighting of the mountains. It is no illusion. There are mountains and consisting of a small range that I have never seen before. 9:55 hours. Altitude change to 2950 feet. Encountering strong turbulence again. 1000 hours. We are crossing over the small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. Beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the center portion. There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. We should be over ice and snow. To the port side are great forests growing on the mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning. The gyroscope is oscillating back and forth. And I think this picture has been kind of circulating around. This is supposed to be the top view of the Earth with the hole in the middle. 10:05 hours. I alter altitude to 1400 feet and execute a sharp left turn to better examine the valley below. It is green with either moss or a type of tight-knit grass. The light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. We make another left turn and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind below us. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible, yet there it is. Decrease altitude to 1000 feet and take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed. It is definitely a mammoth-like animal. Report this to base camp. 10:30 hours, encountering more rolling green hills now. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Continuing on our heading now, navigation instruments seem normal now. I am puzzled over their actions. Attempt to contact base camp. Sorry. Radio is not functioning. 11:30 hours. So, oh, maybe that's not the time. That's maybe how many hours? I don't know. Anyway, countryside below is more level and normal, if I may use that word. Ahead, we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly alongside. They are disc-shaped and have a radiant quality to them. They are close enough now to see the markings on them. We are close enough, I guess. It is a type of swastika. This is fantastic. Where are we? What has happened? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some kind. So here's some pictures. 11:35 hours. Our radio crackles and a voice comes through in English with what perhaps is slight Nordic or Germanic accent. The message is, "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax." Admiral, you are in good hands. I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless. 11:40 hours. Another radio message received. We begin the landing process now, and in moments the plane shudders slightly and begins a descent as though caught in some great unseen elevator. The downward motion is negligible, and we touch down with only a slight jolt. 11:45 hours. I am making a hasty last entry in the flight log. Several men are approaching on foot towards the aircraft. They are tall with blonde hair. In the distance is a large shimmering city pulsating with rainbow hues of color. I do not know what is going to happen now, but I see no signs of weapons on those approaching. I hear now a voice ordering me by name to open the cargo door. I comply. End log. Here's another drawing. I guess that's the distance there with the inner sun. From this point, I write all the following events here from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. The radio man and I are taken from the aircraft and we are received in a most cordial manner. We were then boarded on a small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moves us toward the glowing city with great swiftness. Kind of reminds me of the Tartaria stuff. As we approach, the city seems to be made of a crystal material. Soon we arrive at a large building that is a type I have never seen before. It appears to be right out of the design board of Frank Lloyd Wright, or perhaps more correctly, out of a Buck Rogers setting. For those of you who are younger, Buck Rogers, was like a space show in the old days. We are given some type of warm beverage which tasted like nothing I have ever savored before. It is delicious. After about 10 minutes, two of our wondrous appearing hosts come to our quarters and announce that I am to accompany them. I have no choice but to comply. I leave my radio men behind and we walk a short distance and enter into what seems to be an elevator. I think this is just a picture of him and some military guys, maybe his radio men. We descend downward for some moments. The machine stops and the door lifts silently upward. We then proceed down a long hallway that is lit by a rose-colored light that seems to be emanating from the very walls themselves. How cool is that? One of the beings motions for us to stop before a great door. Over the door is an inscription that I cannot read. The great door slides noiselessly open and I am beckoned to enter. One of my hosts speaks. "Have no fear, Admiral." I can't say that word. What is Admiral? "You are to have an audience with the master." I step inside and my eyes adjust to the beautiful coloration that seems to be filling the room completely. And then I begin to see my surroundings. What greeted my eyes is the most beautiful sight of my entire existence. It is in fact too beautiful and wondrous to describe. It is exquisite and delicate. I do not think there exists a human term that can describe it in any detail with justice. My thoughts are interpreted in a cordial manner by a warm, rich voice of melodious quality. I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral. And here's a drawing of the hollow earth, which some call Agartha. It's a pretty cool little drawing because it's got like over here, the height of the atmosphere, 200 miles. Here's Kentucky Mammoth Cave. So it's got like caves and mountains here on the outside. Mount Epimeo, Italy. It's got Pyramid of Giza here on the outside. It's got like inside oceans. Here's your inner sun, city of Shambhala. It's a pretty cool little map. I see a man with delicate features and with the etching of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs. After I am seated, he places his fingertips together and smiles. He speaks softly again and conveys the following. We have let you enter here because you are of noble character and well known on the surface world, Admiral. Surface world, I gasp under my breath. Yes, the master replies with a smile. You are in the domain of the Ariani, the inner world of the earth. We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface and for a distance beyond. But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the Flugerads, to the surface world to investigate what your race had done. That is, of course, past history now, my dear Admiral. But I must continue on. You see, we have never interfered before in your race's war and barbarity, but now we must, for you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to be witness here that our world does exist. You see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race, Admiral. I interrupted. But what does this have to do with me, sir? The master's eyes seemed to penetrate deeply into my mind, and after studying me for a few moments, he replied, your race has now reached the point of no return. For there are those among you who would destroy your very world rather than relinquish their power as they know it. Doesn't that sound like what's going on right now? I nodded and the master continued. In 1945 and afterward, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility. Our Flugerads were fired upon. Yes, even pursued with malice and amnesty by your fighter planes. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled and all humans are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude of what is yet to come for your race. We here see it more clearly with each hour. Do you say I am mistaken? No, I answer. It happened once before. The Dark Ages came and they lasted for more than 500 years. Yes, my son, replied the master. The Dark Ages will come now for your race, will cover the earth like a pall. But I believe that some of your race will live through the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. We see at great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures. And They will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. When that time arrives, we shall come forward again to help revive your culture and your race. Perhaps by then, you will have learned the futility of war and its strife. And after that time, certain of your culture and science will be returned for your race to begin anew. You, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message. With these closing words, our meeting seemed to an end. I stood for a moment as in a dream, but yet I knew this was reality, and for some strange reason, I bowed slightly, either out of respect or humility, I don't know which. Suddenly, I was again aware that the two beautiful hosts who had brought me here were again at my side. This way, Admiral, motioned one. I turned once more before leaving and looked back towards the master. A gentle smile was etched on his delicate and ancient face. Farewell, my son, he spoke. He then gestured with a lovely, slender hand, a motion of peace, and our meeting was truly ended. Quickly, we walked back through the great door of the master's chamber and once again entered into the elevator. The door slid silently downward, and we were at once going upward. One of my hosts spoke again. We must now make haste, Admiral, as the master desires to delay you no longer on your scheduled timetable, and you must return with his message to your race. I said nothing. All of this was almost beyond belief, and once again my thoughts were interrupted as we stopped. I entered the room and was again with my radio man. He had an anxious expression on his face. As I approached, I said, "It's all right, Howie, it's all right." The two beings motioned us towards the awaiting conveyance. We boarded and soon arrived back at the aircraft. The engines were idling and we boarded immediately. The whole atmosphere seemed charged now with a certain air of urgency. After the cargo door was closed, the aircraft was immediately lifted by that unseen force until we reached an altitude of 2,700 feet. Two of the aircraft were alongside for some distance, guiding us on our return way. I must state here, the airspeed indicator registered no reading, yet we were moving along at a very rapid rate. 2:15 hours. A radio message comes through. "We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free." And I don't know what that word is because it looks German. We watched for a moment as the Byrd'S disappeared into the pale blue sky. The aircraft suddenly felt as though caught in a sharp downdraft for a moment. We quickly recovered her control. We do not speak for some time. Each man has his thoughts. Entry in flight log continues. There's another picture of him in his uniform. Very nice. 220 hours, or 220 hours. We are again over vast areas of ice and snow in approximately 27 minutes from base camp. We radio them, they respond. They report all conditions normal. Base camp expresses relief at our reestablished contact. 300 hours, we land smoothly at base camp. I have a mission. End log entries. March 11, 1947. I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours, 39 minutes to be exact. I'm interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of this United States of America. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on the behalf of humanity. Incredible. I'm reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders. December 30th, 1956, final entry. these last few years elapsed since 1947 have not been kind. I now make my final entry in this singular diary. In closing, I must state that I have faithfully kept this matter secret as directed all these years. It has been completely against my values of moral right. Now I seem to sense the long night coming on, and this secret will not die with me. But as all truth shall, it will triumph, and so it shall. This can be the only hope for mankind. I have seen the truth, and it has quickened my spirit and has set me free. I have done my duty toward the monstrous military industrial complex. Now the long night begins to approach. There shall be no end. Just as the long night of the Arctic ends, the brilliant sunshine of truth shall come again, and those who are of darkness shall fall in its light. For I have seen that land beyond the pole, that center of the great unknown. And there's another picture. And then there's some books at the end. It talks about the Smoky God. That looks really interesting. I would probably love to read that because it talks about the city beneath Mount Shasta, which when I was 12, I went and visited my friend who lived up there in Fresno, and we drove to Mount Shasta and we took the bus ride up, and I just remember her mom telling us about the people that lived in the mountain. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, those are some books, it looks like, that you can buy. It's really cool. So yeah, anyway, we'll stop the share. I hope you enjoyed that, because I've always been interested in learning about more about his flight, and I've heard some things, but that gives a little bit more detail about what he saw and what he was told. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you have any questions, email me below. If you see some smoke, it's because my incense keeps it's a little strong today. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll have to think of what to do for a video next week for you guys. But thank you to all my subscribers. I'm slowly getting a little bit more. I think I'm up to maybe 100 between YouTube and VidTube. But I appreciate every one of you. You are my tribe. You are my family. And I love you guys. And hang in there. And I will see you next week. Love you. Bye.